Okay, you guys, good morning. Hi, I'm Brenda Hillard, independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. And as always, I'm still located in north central Minnesota. Today is a sunshiny day, a warmer day, but they said tomorrow night we're back to snow. Yay! Yay for snow. Not. I've had enough. I'm ready for spring. I'm ready for grass. I'm ready for flowers. And I am ready to share some pretty cool projects, I think, with you today. So let's make sure that I've all gone live on Facebook. Looks like it is refreshing. And there it is. All right. So not bad, right? Only almost a minute in this morning before we click in. But anyway, I'm going to just switch my little logo over to my Coffee and Create because that's where we're at this morning. So I've got my new March host code is right up here. Be sure to use the host code when ordering from me if your order is under $150. That just allows me, and in all honesty, if your order is under $150, you don't get Stampin' Rewards. So by using my host codes, I can gather up those sales and I get the Stampin' Rewards, which then I in turn buy my prizes for my monthly giveaway on my Create with Brenda Crafters page. I do host gifts for purchases over a certain amount. So I use those monies to give back to you. Hey, Janine, good morning. So if you're wondering what all the host code stuff is and why under $150, that's why. All right, let's go down to my workstation. Okay, so celebration, as you know, is over. Right now we are working out of the mini catalog that looks like this and the annual catalog. Don't forget, the annual catalog is good. Good morning, Angie. The annual catalog is going to be good through May 1st. So be sure to peep through there and see if there's anything that you're looking for, that you're interested in, okay? All right. Well, today I'm going to share with you some of the products out of the Fancy Flora collection. I love this paper. At first when I got it, good morning, Karen. Happy Hot Coffee Saturday. Did you get your package in the mail yet? I have at first thought this was really busy and that it was going to be hard to work with. So it's not. I'm going to show you a couple of things, and we'll also be using the Something Fancy sentiments and label dies. So here we go. Let me show you these papers. This is all of them. You know how I always do my paper samples so that you can see. I feel like we're dark in here this morning. Let's see if this helps. Ooh, that brightened it up just a little bit, huh? So you can see the fronts and backs of all these papers. And when you look at them really close, it seriously looks like someone just took a paintbrush with acrylic paint. And it's really, really awesome. So I've got something beeping at me. I'm not really sure what it is. But anyway, so this is the paper, the Fancy Flora. That's what we'll be using. The other thing I want to introduce you to is adhesive sheets. Adhesive sheets can be found in the annual catalog on the adhesives page, which is, we can look it up quick here. All of the adhesives can be found on page. And I sometimes feel like the annual catalog is like overwhelming and there's lots of stuff. And like, where do I even look for that, right? As I'm paging through here. But all of the adhesives can be found on page 127. And the adhesive sheets that I'm talking about are right here, number 6. So they measure 6 by 12. You get 12 sheets. And is what they do is they turn our cardstock into stickers. So let me show you how these work, okay? Or how I use them. I don't know. I suppose they're just like anything else. I suppose there's, 101 different ways to use them. But it's what I like to do is I'll take like my half sheet of cardstock, right? Because they're very, very close in size. So is what I do is, and they're separated here so that you can peel these back. Okay. Do any of you use adhesive sheets, or have you used adhesive sheets? Oh, Ange, you said you just ordered some. Yeah. So I peel them back like so. And I don't take them all the way off, and I'll show you why I don't in just a second. Now, this adhesive on here is super sticky. So is what I do is I set it down in the corner, line up my edges, and then I just pull these back far enough that my cardstock lays down, and then I just flip them all back forward, okay? Because now I don't have any exposed adhesive, which is nice because when you go to trim this, you don't have adhesive stuck to your trimmer or your cutting blades. So I'm just going to go here and trim right down, and I'll use this for something else. And then I can trim just this little edge, ½ inch off from there too. That I probably won't use, but there might be a use for it. So now I have this. You leave that backing on there, right? And I even like to take my bone folder and just kind of give it a good burnish onto my cardstock. All right, let's see. Have them, but really not sure how to use them. Oh, good, Janine, I'm glad I can help. All right, so now in one of the bundles that I'm going to use today, it is called the Two-Tone Flora Bundle. And in that bundle, you get all of these dies, and then you get this beautiful, intricate die. Now, I will not lie. You have to kind of be a little bit of a picker. And that's right, I said a picker to like this die. And I'll show you here in just a second why. So now let's bring in our Stampin' Cut and Emboss. And you'll see that I have a different plate on here. When I use Precisions, I love to use this metal cutting plate. Our plastic cutting plates will work too, or acrylic or whatever they are. But I really like to use this one. So I'm just going to line this die up on our cardstock. And then we're going to run it through our machine. And it didn't cut because I don't have the right sandwich. So I need this platform 2 in there. See, you can just tell by the resistance on your machine, right, Angie? If it's too thick, don't crank it through. And if there's no resistance whatsoever, that means you need to add another plate, that your sandwich is incorrect. All right, let's try this again. Aw, look, it's gonna cut this time. Yay. All right. Alrighty, right. So there we have our intricate die cut. So being it was on the adhesive sheet, it's thick and that backing is still on there, okay? So what I'm gonna do is lift my die off, which some of the pieces will come off. And before I take the backing off, I'm gonna bring my trimmer back in, and I just want to trim my piece. And I'll use this for the next one. All right, so there we have that. I'm gonna bring in my silicone mat, and I'm gonna take the backing. Oh, hold on, got ahead of myself. I just wanna run my bone folder across, and then I'm going to take the backing off. Now, with any luck, most of those little pieces are gonna come right off from there. Do you see that? Yep. So I'm just going to pick off a few of the big ones here that stuck to the back. And like I said, this die is so pretty, but it really is not for just the faint of heart either. You have to be a little bit of a picker, like I said earlier. All right, I'm gonna take this off, move those out of the way. I'm gonna stick it down to my silicone mat. And then in the accessories, you can get this die brush that fits onto, whoops, wrong end, sorry. It fits onto the putty end of your take your pick tool. And I'm just going to rub over all of these little pieces that I can see in our die. And hopefully when I pick this up, is what we're going to see is most of these little pieces are going to stick to our mat. So you can see there's a few that were being difficult there, but being they're sticky now, we can just put them down and they should stick or pop out onto our mat. All right. And like I said, I'm not sugarcoating this. This die really does take a bit of patience if you do it this way. You wouldn't have to do the sticker sheet. However, I don't want to have to try to glue this thing down either. You know what I mean? I would have glue everywhere, squirting out everywhere. I'll look up in just a minute, you guys, and check for comments or questions. Let's see. Hi, Renee. Good morning, Sandy. Good morning, Kristen. So, Sandy, what a pleasure to have you on. You normally aren't my Saturday morning crowd. All right, I'm just gonna rub this again, see if I can get those to pop out onto my mat, and no. So pick, pick, pick. Once these are out, this project really does go together in a quick hurry. Okay, where am I seeing some more? right here, this big flower has a bunch of little pieces. All right, I think we're there. I think we're done. But I can't help myself. Once I start picking at these, it's just like all of them. I just want all of them. So, oh, I see a couple more. Here, here, and these. Guys, I'm sorry. Thank you for sticking with me. I didn't think it was going to take this long. Okay, but honest, this card is so worth it. Just wait till you see the finish. All right, I'm going to move this off to the side. And then, I don't know about you, but I have one of these Pampered Chef scrapers. These things are amazing for all these little bits that we create. And being that they're sticky, I want to pick them up because I don't want them to end up on my card elsewhere, right? But did you see how you can just scrape them and scoop them? All right. Bits everywhere. Let's bring in our piece of the Fancy Flora Designer Series paper. Gorgeous, right? Good morning, Joanne. I have lots of people on this morning. I shouldn't say, I usually do have a fairly decent crowd, but I have like people who normally don't join me on. This is exciting, you guys. I'm glad you're here. All right. I think I've got them all. And now I'm just going to set this down on my Designer Series paper. And because we did that adhesive sheet, it is a sticker. I'm going to flip it over and burnish it on. And look how pretty that is behind that die. Let's trim off our excess. And I actually want to cut this piece down to measure 3 3/4 by 5. So I'm just going to cut really close on the borders, and we will end up cutting them off somewhat, but I just want to trim carefully for right now. See how we got into the die? That's okay. And this is eventually going to measure 5. So I'm going to just kind of keep going around and taking little bits off until, so now we have the width that we want. Let's get the length at 5. There we go. All right. Yay. Pretty, pretty. I have a piece of fresh freesia cardstock that I want to mount this on. So it's going to be like so. I'm going to take my stamp and seal. I had it here just a second ago. Oh, I know. I got all organized and had everything laid out so that I know where it is. And now, where did it go? All right. Stamp and seal. I'm going to put this on so that I have just that the tiniest little border. And now I'm just going to trim. Okay. Ta-da! How good is that? Let's bring in our card base. Our card base is 5.5 by 8.5. We're going to score it at 4 1/4. There we go. And give that, we'll match up our edges here. Score it. And then let's put this on the front of our card base. And that's when you're really going to see that pretty die. And with that paper behind, Michelle, what do we owe the pleasure? Welcome, girl. Okay. Excited to see this die in action. Have it, but have not tried it yet. Okay, Nancy. Well, this paper makes it super easy. Like I said, you get all those pretty colors in the background. Now, to fancy it up a little bit, I told you I was going to be using the other bundle that is part of that suite. It is a 2-bundle suite, so if you look at the price of the suite and you're like, wow, that's expensive, take a look at what's all really included in there, okay? So here's the tags, and I'm going to be using these 2 tags right here. And because I knew that die was going to take us a little bit of time, I pre-cut them. So I cut the smaller one using basic white and the larger with fresh freesia, okay? So there's our labels that we're going to use. And is what I want is, these are cling. So I'm going to bring in Gorgeous Grape with the stamp that says with deepest sympathy. I'm going to ink that up, moving it around on my stamp pad. Remember, we don't want to just stay in the middle because then we use the ink out of the middle of our pad and we don't get good inking. And I'm just going to stamp that in the center of our tag. Okay, flip it over, add some adhesive. There is a right and a wrong side to these dies too. There's a little tiny embossed edge on them, or a raised edge. It's really quite pretty. So there's our with deepest sympathy. And I'm going to add a few dimensionals, because what would a card be without dimensionals, right? I'm going to set that down on here, right at the bottom. And then I need to just grab my fresh freesia ribbon. And this is the open weave ribbon. It's beautiful, and it's really easy to tie nice, crisp bows. So I'm just gonna make my little bow for on here. Give that a cut. Wow. Keep cutting it straight instead of at an angle. All right. I'm just going to use a mini glue dot. Add my bow. And then it needs just a little bit of bling, I think. So I thought the perfect accent for this would be our pearl basic jewels. And I'll just grab one of the larger ones down here, a small, and then just another one up here in the corner. Okay, so how good is that? And how easy? And I think it shows off well across, I think it shows off well against that paper. Give it a try. And then here's the one I had done earlier, same thing. And then used the scrap piece that we cut off for my envelope flap, okay? And a little piece for on the inside too. All right, let's move that one off to the side. I can bring it back in at the end if you want me to. And I'll show you the next card that I have that uses this beautiful paper. And then I have another sample. We aren't going to make 3, but I do have a sample to show you. So here we go with this one. It looks like this. Kind of cool, right? Except that when I look at this card, I think of the Green Bay Packers, which I do love the Packers, but you know, being in Minnesota, have to be a Vikings fan, and boy, is it hard to be a Vikings fan some days, right? All right. So here we go with our next card. I've got just a regular card base again, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. Match up my edges so I have nice edges with my bone folder. Crease my card. Then it seems like when you look at this, it's like, boy, that's a lot of cutting. But I'm going to show you something, or like how quickly this really does go. So I have a couple pieces of the Designer Series paper that were left from this 6x6 sheet. And I think it's going to be enough for me to do this card. We'll find out in just a minute. But these are 3 3/4 inches wide. Okay. I'm going to cut them into 7/8 inch strips, which that I'll need 5 of them. So there's 2. Save that piece. That might be a good one for on the inside. Here's 3. There's 4. And I need 1 more. So hold on, hold on, hold on. I'll just grab another piece of that paper out of my pack. Here it is. And I'm just going to cut this at 3 3/4. Well, I'm just going to do a 1 inch strip, or a 7/8 inch strip. That's what I'll do. And that'll just save me this bigger sheet of paper to use elsewhere, right? Or maybe on the envelope. So 3 3/4 by 7/8. All right, so there's our 5 strips. Then I'm going to bring in my Daffodil Delight, and I want to cut this at 3. I'm going to cut it at 3 7/8. These eighths, people hate eighths, but you know, it's not that bad. And these are going to be 1 inch strips. So I'm using the 1 inch over here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right. Then I have Evening Evergreen. And I'm going to cut 2 of these, and they are going to measure 4 by 5 1/4. So there's 4 by 5 1/4. Okay, So that's all of the cutting. And really, when you look at that for all of your pieces, you're like, holy smokes. But it really is not bad. So let's take our stamp and seal, and we're just going to put in any order. You don't have to keep these in order. We're going to center these on our designer series paper onto our Daffodil Delight strips, the 1-inch strips. And it was kind of funny because the inspiration from for this card came from a fellow demonstrator. And I don't know how she did it, but she got them all to lay really nice and flat and evenly spaced. Well, guess who didn't do that? All right. So is what we're going to do is now we're going to add adhesive to our strips, and we're just going to have just a tiny border, and I found it easiest to do the outside edges first and then do that minimal spacing here, just making sure that we're good there. And then minimal up there. Oh my gosh, you guys, I think this one's gonna work. I don't know why the other one didn't. Oh, it did. Yay for me. I must have cut something wrong the last time. But anyway, there's the card front. I love this. And I don't know if this is showing up as well on the camera as it is in real life, but it is really pretty. So is what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take my adhesive and I'm going to glue that right down on my front. I don't know what it is with me lately and just these 1/8 inch borders, but I love it. I just love the way it looks. So is what I did on our card here, the finish card, is I took the hexagon dies. And guys, these are part of the Beautiful Shapes dies. They're in the annual catalog. This is a great set of shapes if you're looking for shape dies, okay? But I cut an evening evergreen with the large and then just a basic white with the next size down. There's one bigger and there's one smaller, but I took the second to the largest and the second to the smallest, okay? And then I'm going to bring in my Evening Evergreen ink. And again, I'm going to do my thank you, moving it around on my ink pad so that I get even coverage. And then I'm just going to stamp. I love the font on this. And again, that's from the Something Fancy bundle. I'm going to flip it over, add some adhesive, and I'm just going to center this so we have that little border. Of course, some dimensionals. I'll use my take your pick tool to get off the remaining backings. And then this just gets put down on our card front. And then look at these. They kind of, once I was stamping them, they remind me of forget-me-nots. So that is just simply a scrap of basic white. And I use the Daffodil Delight ink because you know how Stampin' Up! Excels at color coordination, right? Moving it around on my stamp pad. I'm going to stamp 2 of those. And then, don't go away. I'm going to grab our envelope because you know how I love the matchy-matchy envelopes. Oops, got a little bit of ink on there, but it's not bad. So just down in the corner, I'm going to add that little cluster of flowers. I'm going to bring in the Evening Evergreen, and on those little flowers, check this out. Look at the perfect little enhancements for those. Aren't they cute? Love, love them. See, if you did those in a light blue with the dark Orchid Oasis, those would be perfect. Like little, like I said, forget-me-nots, I think they're called. Somebody, if you're a flower expert out there, please correct me if I'm wrong. All right, so then in the Fancy Flora bundle, there's a die for these, but again, to save time, I had already die cut them. So what I'm going to do is just add a little bit of Stampin' Seal. I'm going to tuck that under. And then for this next one, I'm going to put Stampin' Seal on one end, and I'm going to put a dimensional. Actually, I'm going to put 2 dimensionals, one on top of the other, because this is already raised one, and then we're raising it again. So I'm going to put that right here. Love, love, love it. Love, love, love it. And again, our open weave ribbon in Evening Evergreen. Tie my little bow. Oops, it slipped away. And pow, there's that cute little bow. Okay, you guys, be sure to like, be sure to comment, be sure to share. And if you go out to YouTube later for the measurements and the supplies, be sure to subscribe to my channel. That just makes my day. And I will be doing a drawing giving away this card to one lucky winner today. All right? So I told you I had one more card to share. We're not going to make it, but here's our first card that we did, right? Here's our second card that we did. And here's another sample. This is just a different background of that Fancy Flora. And then instead of using the labels from the Something Fancy bundle, I used the tags. And with these tags, you can put like this little tab insert. So when you cut it out, cutting edge down, and you can see I have my little Post-it tape on there because that just holds it in place and spaced like I want it. Run it through my machine. And then what happens is I end up with this perfect tag with a loop that I was able to add my ribbon and my Orchid Oasis baker's twine. Love that. There's like a little tulip that you can do in your tag. And then there's also, and I've used this one before, this little leafy branch too. So that's the Something Fancy bundle. These two go together. Sentiments fit in the tags and the labels. Good stuff. All right, you guys. Oh, you know what I forgot? So I had cut 2 pieces of the Evening Evergreen, and this one was at this one was cut at 4 by 5 1/4. We're gonna cut one more piece of basic white that measures 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And like I said, don't worry about these measurements. I'll put them in on the YouTube description, video description. But is what I want to do with that piece is I am going to put that on here with that little teeny tiny border that I'm loving, and bring in my Daffodil Delight. I knew there was something I forgot to stamp with this one. Down at the corner, grab the Evening Evergreen. Those little, and these just stamp so easy on there. I love that. I'm going to flip it over, and look, how cute is this on the inside of our card? Look how it just makes your inside layer pop. Hey Donna, hi. All right, there you go, you guys. I hope I've inspired you that you're going to want to purchase the bundle, the suite of products, or at least give the layouts a try. All right, you guys, thank you for tuning in to episode 361 of Coffee and Create with Brenda, and I'll see you next Saturday at 9 a.m. Bye for now.